With breaking news out of Henry County, an Atlanta police officer shot while serving a warrant with the U.S. Marshals.
That's right. And in the last few hours, we've learned that the suspect, who is now dead, was wanted by APD for the recent killing to a mother of 4 children. 32-year-old Courtney Reese was shot multiple times last week along Springside Drive in southeast Atlanta. This shooting captured on a nearby Ring doorbell camera, and it showed that suspect firing at least 10 shots even after Reese collapsed. Well, in the past hour, Reese's father told 11 Alive that he doesn't wish death upon anyone, but said, quote, "This was the best outcome because this guy was a danger to others while on the run."
We have live team coverage for you tonight. Molly Oak is live from the scene in Henry County with more on what led to this turn of events. But we're going to kick things off with Joe Ripley outside Grady Hospital. So, Joe, do we know the officer's condition right now?
Yes, we understand. According to Atlanta Police Chief Darin Schierbaum, the Atlanta police officer shot while helping to execute the search warrant in Stockbridge is currently getting treatment after he was shot in the arm. He is expected to be okay, though. We did see a number of law enforcement show up here to pay their respects and show solidarity in supporting this officer as he recovers. It was an 18-year APD veteran, Schierbaum said, that was sent here to Grady Hospital, flown by a Henry County Sheriff's Office helicopter. This, of course, is all tied to a search warrant in Henry County. A regional task force led by U.S. Marshals executed the search warrant this morning in Stockbridge for Derrick Rankins. He is the man accused of shooting and killing Courtney Reese 1 week ago near Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta. Reese was a mother of 4. She was just 32 years old, shot at least 10 times. She had lost her sister just months before that. Police say they identified Rankins as a suspect, and tonight Chief Schierbaum says Rankins is dead after an hours-long standoff.
This is what we train for. We recruit men and women who have a quality to stand in the gap for their communities. We train weekly and regularly to make sure when an individual who poses harm to community doesn't want to go back to jail, that we can do so with the least risk to the citizens in the area.
And tonight, Schierbaum says no other officers were injured throughout this search warrant execution. It's still unclear tonight, though, whether Rankins shot himself or whether officers fired and shot and killed him. The GBI still has that under investigation. We're live outside Grady Hospital in Atlanta. Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.
All right, Joe, thanks a lot. By the way, 11 Alive's Molly Oak continuing our team coverage live from Henry County. And Molly, dozens of law enforcement officers have been on the scene for most of the afternoon.
Yeah, Ron, when we first got out to the scene hours ago, I mean, law enforcement was just covering this neighborhood. And while their presence has definitely dwindled, I want you to take a look at this video from the scene earlier. They have been focused on a home off Linden Lane in the Swan Lake subdivision in Henry County. Now, Atlanta Police Department says APD's fugitive unit, Georgia State Patrol, and the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force were serving a warrant out of Atlanta. And that's when an Atlanta police officer was shot and hospitalized. Now, we know multiple agencies responded to this shooting because from our initial vantage point, we saw Henry County Police, Henry County Sheriff, Clayton County Sheriff, Fulton County Sheriff, GBI, and Georgia State Patrol all on scene.
And then more and more cars kept coming, and I finally found where everything was, and then I got stuck, and come to find out, my wife was looking it up online, trying to find out what was going on. Next thing we found out, it was serving a murder warrant, and the marshal got shot, and luckily he's gonna come to find out he's gonna be okay, but.
As you can see from that crime scene behind me, still an active scene, even with that law enforcement kind of dying down just a bit. But we'll keep you updated as the investigation continues out here in Henry County. For now, reporting live, Molly Oak, 11 Alive News.
All right, Molly, thanks a lot for the update there.
Investigative reporter Zach Merchant joining us live now. So, Zach, we're learning more about what's happening with these law enforcement officers. What more can you tell us tonight?
Well, tonight we're talking about the Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force. It is led by the U.S. Marshals Service, but it includes law enforcement officers from lots of different local agencies, including APD. And tonight we spoke with Thaddeus Johnson. He's a GSU criminology professor. He's also a former law enforcement officer, and he says that task force specializes in a particular kind of work.
When they get involved, either it's a very high risk warrant that they're serving, or it's very complicated, has a lot of moving parts where you need to tactically coordinate, where you can hit these places at certain times so people can't be tipped off, so you can bring people to justice.
You know, Zach, this is very difficult for law enforcement officers on the scene. You talked to Johnson about the risk of being an officer in that situation. What did you learn?
His answer sort of came in two parts, and you've got to remember he's a law enforcement vet himself. He says from a purely statistical perspective, even when serving warrants for serious charges, it is uncommon for a law enforcement officer to be hurt, but he also said every time officers serve a felony warrant like this, where the suspect could be facing many years behind bars if convicted, the potential for something to go wrong is a lot higher than during most other police activities.
Absolutely, especially if the suspect's behind the door. You can't see what's going on there. So thanks a lot for that perspective.
We appreciate it, Zach. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And all of you at home can stay with our continuing coverage at 11alive.com.